our final conference previews of the preseason, and without a moment to spare. Tryouts for teams across the state wrapped up this week, and scrimmages will begin in the next few days. We preview the two best conferences in high school hockey, the KLAA and the MIHL, to conclude our run through all 13 conferences, leagues, and associations in Michigan. I'll also give you a few teams on the independent circuit that will be worthy of attention as the season unfolds. This is the second episode coming your way this week on a double dose of the PD's Picks podcast. You know that if you were subscribed to the YouTube channel. So if you're not, do me a favor and subscribe below. Goal is 1,000 subscribers this season. At least get your boy to 900 before Ovi scores his 900th for the Caps this season. How about that? That'd be a fun little race to get going here. Hit the subscribe button and let's talk some hockey, shall we? The KLAA, we'll start there, has really come down to the KLAA West for much of the last few seasons. Brighton and Hartland are winners of the West for the past 4 seasons and have gone on to win the conference championship as well. So win the West, win the conference. Better yet, win Livingston County, win the West, win the conference. But it just might finally be time for someone other than the Eagles or the Bulldogs to climb the ladder, right? Howell, who's essentially taken a back seat to cross-county big brothers, Hartland and Brighton, returns arguably 2 of the top prospects in the game today. You got senior Luke Storm, who is a stud, and I don't use that term lightly. He's got the measurables. He's got the skill and ability. I raved about Mr. Hockey frontrunner Aiden Cook on a previous episode of the pod, but if there's one prospect that could rival Cook for a hypothetical first overall pick of the high school hockey draft, it's Storm, in my opinion. That's not to take anything away either from teammate Chad Pietila on the back end as well, who could quite possibly be the best defenseman in the state. You can make a case for him as the top prospect as well, a top prospect overall, not just as a defenseman. And I'd have a tough time arguing against it. So after all, I mean, him and Cook were the only 2 juniors to be named to Dream Team last season. On top of that, you got Bryce Escala, Bryce Pietila, Marco Wolf. This team's top 5, your starting 5, so to speak, is better than anyone else's in the state. They shouldn't just be seen as the top team in Livingston County, but consideration for the top team in the state. You know, Howell's never won the West, which means they've never won the KLAA either. That changes this winter as I think the Highlanders sweep the county, sweep the division, and yes, sweep the conference among other accomplishments I expect them to achieve along the way this season. And that doesn't mean I'm writing off Hartland or Brighton or anything crazy like that. Eagles, for instance, have a new coach. Longtime assistant John Brown takes over after Rick Gadwa stepped down over the offseason. I'm tapering expectations here slightly just because Hartland lost so much in graduation last spring. Ian Castamo, Ty Kraut, 13 seniors in total that the first-year coach will have to replace. Ian Evans can certainly help anchor them offensively, and second-year goaltender Vinny Sabalo will certainly help steady the ship as well. Adding not 1, not 2, but 3 AAA prospects to the mix is quite a luxury as well when you got guys like Max Bogatitis, Braden Stevens, and Ben Watrapont getting added to the mix. But I just think replicating the run from last season, 22 wins and a near upset of number 1 ranked CC in the playoffs, will be no easy task. So I do expect at least a slight regression, to be fair to Hartland there. Brighton, on the other hand, may still be a year away, I think. The Bulldogs 2027 class is talented, but still young and gaining experience with each game on the schedule. Tim Peterson, Vince Walkup, Mitch Wysocki, guys like Connor Duffney, Emerson Bozak, Landon Hall even are even younger than the previous group I just mentioned. So I think that core group here needs some seasoning still a little bit, some experience on the ice. Seniors Reese Hutchinson and Eddie Wheeler will give the group a chance to win now, so to speak, and the Bulldogs will still win plenty of games and be in that top 25 team mix, no doubt. But like I said, I still think they're a year away and likely third in this particular 3-team race going on in Livingston County. As far as the rest of the West, it's good too. Tommy Marinoff has basically led Northville in scoring every year for the past 3 years. Not too many of those going around the state. Now he's a senior. I think we could see his best season yet, especially considering the addition of first-year senior Ethan Egglesky, who just led the MDHL in scoring this fall. 14 goals, 27 points in just 11 games. That's a tough league. And Egglesky was the highest producer of the bunch. Mustangs may not be in contention for a division title with as deep as the West is, but they'll make statewide noise, no doubt, especially in non-con games for sure. Novi, under second-year coach Anthony Leitz, they won 15 games in his first season and should only get better as the longer his tenure runs. Brady Chippa, I've seen him multiple times now since he came in as a freshman for Novi. I don't quite understand how he got cut from the MD this past fall. That one's a tough one for me. Keep Chippa on your radar, especially for all the hockey sycophants out there like myself dialed into the high school hockey scene. He has a big junior year for Novi. Look out. Could really shoot up some people's radars, I think. The other half of the KLAA, if I'm reading the standings correctly on the Hockey Hub, Stevenson has won the East every year that it's been an East-West split. Probably still the favorite to do so again this season as well, despite the departure of 16-year coach and high school hockey Hall of Famer Dave Mitchell. First-year coach Jay Thompson should benefit, I think, a little bit from having a large senior class of 13 returning players deep. That's a nice little luxury to have as you step in your inaugural season behind the bench. Plenty of experience back in the lineup for a team whose season ended in overtime of the Division II state championship last season. I don't know that they'll have a high-end top line like the Spartans have had in the past. Top scorers Owen Hall, Connor Buchanan, Christian Lang are all gone via graduation. But I do believe the depth is still there, as is the experience. Obviously, a lot of guys who were a part of that state final run last year. This group knows how to prepare, knows what it takes to win, and knows what it takes to make a run. Strong defensively, too. Colin Strobel, Dawson Wallace on the back end are two talented, effective defensemen. That should bode pretty well for the Spartans. As far as the rest of the East Division, could be a bit of a rebuild mode, I think, as you look at some of the other teams, but there's still something to like about all of them. Salem will be young, right? Graduated their big three, big four, technically, looking at that senior class. So I do think second-year forward and underclassman Andrew Weidenbach, I like his game a lot. Tons of potential there, but may be asked to do a lot more this season than he has in previous seasons. Same goes for guys like Will Schley at Canton. He led the Cobras in scoring each of the last 2 years. He's still an underclassman, just going to be a junior this year. Plymouth's Adrian Clarke might be the best forward in the division. Chew on that one for a minute. Wildcats graduated a ton, though, too. So just a ton of turnover in the KLAA East this year. So, okay, I don't know if I ran through that fast enough. I don't know. I was on too much caffeine during the lunch break today, I think. Just rifled through the KLAA. I think I touched on just about every team in the conference there, too, on that speed round. But obviously, a lot to get to, trying to get it out to you, especially as tryouts wrap up. And games are right around the corner, people. So just trying to get things buttoned up and out there to the masses. A lot of KLAA talk there. Obviously, if you want even more than what I just touched on here on the pod, You can hit the link in the description below and check out the blog that goes into even more depth in the KLAA on pdspicks.com as well. Okay. Yeah, that was a lightning round of a KLAA there. I don't know that I'd rifled through any conference as fast as I just did that. So a lot of stuff coming at you here. All right. We wrap up our conference previews, saving the best for last. You know it. It's the MIHL, a league that has won 10 of the last 15 state championships across all three divisions. Catholic Central, with its record-setting 6th consecutive Division I state championship. No other program in the state has won more than 5 in a row, and I believe Catholic Central had done that as well. Brother Rice made it to the D2 Final Four last season. St. Mary's topped Cranbrook in an all-MIHL D3 state final matchup last season too. They are essentially the SEC football of the high school hockey world. It just means more here. I wrote on the blog on pdspicks.com, 3 things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, Catholic Central atop the state rankings. I'm going to unveil my preseason top 25 on next week's pod, and spoiler alert, CC's number 1. Again, no surprises there. And they will be, and they should be, until something drastically changes here in the statewide landscape. Picking anyone other than the Shamrocks would just be rage baiting on social media at this point. Yes, I did mention Howell's top end may be better, talking about them obviously in the previous preview. But no one, and I mean no one, has the depth that CC has. There's a whole bunch of new faces in the lineup this year, but the goal remains the same for Coach Cal's program. In his 9 seasons behind the bench, they've won a state title 7 times, and I believe finished runner-up one of the other 2 times. So while people like myself and others see the recent run of 6 in a row by Catholic Central, it's really each group is a brand new one, essentially doing it for the first time all over again. Graduating classes of 12, 15, 15, 16, and 20 in a graduating class over that span. 90 seniors in the last 6 seasons, half of which were one and done. Players who played 1 season and then graduated. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just illustrating the sheer turnover this program sees year over year. And elsewhere around the league, I talked about depth. You know, I think St. Mary's is creeping up on CC in this regard. Their varsity B team, as much as I don't like these quote-unquote B teams and what they mean for high school hockey as a whole, I think that individual programs themselves, St. Mary's, Howell, Hartland, individually, it does help bring along and develop that depth that we keep talking about. Eaglets have had a bunch of forwards up front, and very little separates them from one another. On top of that, John Ward quite literally has some big shoes to fill as well. After graduation of the 6'5" Will Keene, who's actually playing in the USHL right now and doing very well, by the way. I don't know if you've checked that out in a while. I don't want to say there's question marks for St. Mary's, because there's not. I just don't necessarily see a go-to guy for them just yet. A playmaker, a bona fide goal scorer, the stud goalie in net that can carry a team or make a big play when they need it. But I do think it's more of a situation where the sum is greater than its parts. Having 5, 6, 7, even 8 guys that can be solid and dependable is more valuable to them than having 1 or 2 studs in the lineup. And speaking of studs, Trenton's Donovan Durbin could be the best forward in the MIHL this season. And if that holds true, makes him one of, if not the best in the state as well. He scored 72 points last season as a junior. And I've said it a couple times now, but I believe that's the most by a Trenton player since at least 2012, 2013. And I know there's a ton of Trenton historians out there, so if people want to provide more stats and details, I'm absolutely here for it. Send them my way because I'd love to take a look. So him and Zach LaMay coming back as a phenomenal 1-2 punch. They also add former AAA prospect Grandin Eccles to the mix offensively. And the Trojans, are going to have a ton of scoring options. Strength on the back end as well. Landon Leone, Patrick Rogowski. They're going to be deep and talented at the top. My question is just goaltending. And 4-year starter Evan Sibby has graduated. And this is like the first time since at least 16-17 that there wasn't a clear-cut decided number one in goal, at least that I can recall. That could change, could absolutely change a lot as the season unfolds, and someone could play their way into that role. But that just leaves question marks in the crease nonetheless until that gets decided. So I also like Rice a lot this season. They won 16 games and lost in the D2 state semifinals, but it felt like a bit of a down year by Rice standards. And again, kind of parachuting in as a distant observer, obviously ended with a lengthy playoff run. But the 3-6-1 start to the season, finishing just a game over 500 in the regular season, just left a little bit to be desired, I thought. And I actually think coming out of the gate hot and staying hot this season could very well happen when you've got guys like Zach Stalegrave, who looked like their best forward at times last season for the Warriors. Getting him back on the heels of a strong fall hockey season with the Michigan Steel. I'm expecting big things from him. I like his game a lot and the trajectory he's on. Same thing with Drew Murphy on the back end. And then you got Drake England. He really hit his stride last weekend at the Tier 2 state finals. If he can snowball that into the regular season, I think the Warriors could really be a force this season. And keep in mind, too, since Coach Kenny Chappett took over in 2016, the Warriors have never gone more than 2 years without a state title. And the last time Rice won was 2 years ago. So they're due. They're due. Other teams and players of note, Blake Tice for Cranbrook looked really good at the MDHL this fall. Was in the All-Star Showcase for the league earlier this month. The Cranes seem a little thin up front at the moment, but as long as Coach LaFontaine has a reliable goalie, I'm confident he can round out the rest of the team into shape as the season wears on. So the team you see on day one won't be the same that hits the ice for playoffs in February. So just might take some time there for the Cranes. U of D, De La Salle, a lot of question marks as we sit here preseason, but we will certainly find out. Just haven't seen many in action this fall to get a good read on where they might stack up preseason. Kids from those programs are usually pretty heavy participants in fall hockey, but it's been pretty quiet a few months for a couple of these programs, these two programs in particular. So I'll just kind of have to wait and see on some of the rest of the teams around the MIHL. So, okay, you want more from the MIHL or any of the other conferences and leagues we've talked about this month? It's all there for you on the YouTube channel. It's on pdspicks.com as well, and Instagram. Check it out. I've got complete conference projections as far as the standings go, players to watch, a lot of stuff going out there on Instagram as well. And my DMs are open, so if you want to hit me up and talk some hockey, I'm all for it. Okay. Before we wrap up here, let me touch on just a few independent teams as well. A lot of people have been asking me over the last few weeks, you going to talk about independence? You going to talk about independence? Yes, I got you. We're good, all right? Independence, programs that don't belong to a conference. And if I'm being honest, if I had my choice, I'd probably opt for independent status too. Just to have the freedom of scheduling whoever I wanted for the whole 27-game schedule. Cap City in the Lansing area, I believe, is the newest program to opt for independent status. They left the South Central Hockey League that I previewed a few weeks back. Caps had a lot of guys in the fall this season. Lost arguably their 3 best players to the AAA circuit, unfortunately, but guys like Thomas Heilman, Hunter Stopchinski, Loudon Carisco, Ty Inglis. These guys are putting in the work, man. Might not be as high end of a team this season for the Caps. Had 2 guys that made Team Michigan last spring, but have obviously departed. But I do think it'll be a very gritty, hardworking, and disciplined bunch for Coach Joe Ford. And they're going to need it too. Always a tough schedule for the Caps, but now on the independent circuit, adding some games to that schedule. They're going to have CC on the calendar this year, and I think right out of the gate. So it's going to be a gauntlet. Luckily for this group, like I said, I think they're scrappy and dirty and hardworking enough that they can hang in some of these games with some more talented teams than themselves. I think they can gut out and squeak out a couple tough wins. People have been saying I've been sleeping on Houghton again this year because I haven't talked about him yet. But that's so not true. I just haven't had the opportunity yet, right? I had one scout that just raved about how good Connor Arko was for Team Michigan last spring and again in their game against Team USA in August. He was the quote-unquote most effective forward on the team, is what he said. That could lead to a massive senior year for Arko and the Gremlins. Forward Noah Millette almost made that team as well. He looked good at the festival last March. Brody Donnelly, Jack Sayan, they may not be in the Great Lakes Conference anymore, but Houghton could still be the team to beat in the UP and really represent the Upper Peninsula this season. Elsewhere around the UP, I'll touch on Sault Ste. Marie for a minute. They've been an independent for several seasons now, but actually joined the Big North in all sports this offseason. And I missed that in my Big North preview a few weeks back. So let me make this right now. They always seem to put a guy to pick up a guy or two, not pick up a guy or two from the Sioux Indians AAA program up there. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Blue Devils had a few, we'll call them tricks up their sleeve this offseason, adding a few players that I don't currently know about. But even if they don't, I like senior Jack Sober. He could be in line for a big jump in production. The Sioux graduated its top 3 scorers from a season ago, and that puts Sober next in line. He's a forward certainly capable of taking on a larger role too and being that guy in the offense. I've also been a big fan of Cam Gagnon for a long time on the blue line for several seasons now. They could be real young this season after graduating 10 seniors, but still could be a factor making the move to the Big North Conference now. Alpena may be your heavy favorite at the moment because of my guy Gavin Winterstein, but the Sioux could absolutely muddle around in the mix with the TC schools and Petoskey and really put a scare into some people when it comes to Big North play. I don't get a lot of chances to talk about Big Rapids, so let me highlight a guy like Brody Ozowski real quick. A point-per-game guy for MDHL Green this past fall. That's your West Michigan team. He made the All-Star League showcase a few weeks back as well. And I don't know about the Cards supporting cast just yet, but Ozowski is the best top guy, their best number 1 since maybe River Spadowski, Drew Wada being another one, but that was 7 or 8 years ago. So it's a good reason, I think, to be excited about Big Rapids this season. And let me talk about Sparta too real quick. Trevor Serba. Sparta had a pretty tight-knit senior class that took the program all the way to the D1 state semifinals last season. But just because they graduated doesn't mean the Spartans are going to fade off into the high school hockey sunset, so to speak. They may not get back to Plymouth, but I think Serba is big. He's physical, strong kid, and every coach I've talked to that's worked with him raves about him. So how he is on the ice, how he is on the bench, in the locker room, it'll be hard to recreate the magic of last season and the season before that too for Sparta, but they're still in good shape with Serba kind of leading the charge there for them. Sparta, definitely not that flash in the pan. I expect them to still be very much a factor this season moving forward. Connor Forster, I think, makes RGR a legitimate contender in Division 3 this season. I talked about him an episode or two back as well, raved about him and how he looked in the MDHL showcase. At times looked like the best forward on the ice. If he carries that over into the regular season for Gabriel Richard, couple that with Michael Taucher, Santino Venturini up front, Alex Horley and Jason Matthews on the back end, Pioneers could be a real problem for people statewide this season. So I like where they're at. I think I even talked about it last season, which was their first season as an independent. That schedule was loaded. They took their licks as a pretty young team, finished just 10, 12, and 2 in the regular season. All those young guys now come back in 25, 26 with experience and could really be ready to contend for a state title this winter. So it's a great job there by the coaching staff. Okay, you guys want more? Are you not entertained? What more can I give you here? We haven't even played a game yet this season, and I've given you more than 2 hours of preseason talk, previews, players to watch, teams to watch, dozens of teams, hundreds of players. It's all there for you on YouTube. We'll be doing this all season long too, so like and subscribe to follow along. All the blogs are there for you too on pdspicks.com, and complete conference standings and projections and players to watch on my Instagram as well. I've already teased the preseason top 25 for next episode. We'll release that in the next couple days. Also, the 2025 top 100 players returning to high school hockey is quickly approaching as well. We'll do that in 2 weeks now. I've been getting a lot of questions about that, when it's going to drop, who's going to be on it, are you going to do the list again? Of course I'm doing the list again. Of course we are. All the more reason to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because you do not want to miss this one. Until next time, skate hard, have fun. I'll see you at the rink soon.